Once upon a time, two retired teachers decided to convert their garage into a pottery studio. Along with their daughter and son, they built a business around the idea that the world could use a little more art and a lot more artists. We're the Kaya family. Welcome to Wocky Pots.
Hi everybody, how you doing? How you been? How are things? Shane and Diana here with coffee time number 54 at Wocky Pots Studio. What are we going to talk about today?
Alrighty. Well, let's start with the most wonderful thing from last week.
What's that?
It snowed.
It snowed twice, you guys.
Did.
2 times.
2 times, yes. And we are going to share some pictures of some of the things that, some of the pictures of the snow and things that we did and stuff. And we had a snow day. We decided officially it was a snow day.
And it was so much fun. After the first snow, the day after, we went outside, built a big snowman, and it was a lot of fun. And although it's been a week since we built that snowman, nearly, he's still standing out there by our sign. He's a little slumpy, he's a little melty, but he is out there.
He looks a little drunk.
Yeah, he's got a 30-degree list to port, so he does. He does look a little inebriated, but it was a lot of fun making that. It was good to get out with Diana and Christopher, and we had a little snowball fight. The first time in living memory that a snowball fight did not end in tears. So that was nice.
Yes, and I did vocalize that before it started. I'm like, okay, nobody is going to cry.
Let's just say I am a pretty good shot.
It's from all the winters that when you grew up, because you had snow on the ground all the time.
Snowball fighting was a survival thing
here.
So anyway, it was a lot of fun. We had an absolute blast.
We did, and we did make the snow cream that Christopher wanted to make.
Talked about that last week. It was delicious, although it gave me an ice cream headache. But that's okay.
Yeah, it is super cold.
Yep.
That's for sure. We also did some things in the house that was still for the studio, though, because we set up the printer.
Right.
And I'm happy to say I did most of the setup.
That's right. Diana was determined she was going to figure this out. See,
I never set anything up, guys.
What you may or may not know about me is I'm really a techie kind of a person. And I was the informational technology resource teacher for a while for a school that I taught at for a few years. And I always was the one to set up computers and phones and tablets and printers and 3D printers and all that other stuff that we did. But Diana took it upon herself this time to go through it. And I will say that directions are a little different and easier to follow. I love the Epson setup because it goes through like a chat. Like you literally go through and it's like you're looking at some kind of a messaging app or something like that. It goes through with actual chat bubbles, speech bubbles to explain the process. And that was pretty intuitive. It was good.
Yes, it was. And I actually, I thought it would be very messy putting the ink in because, it's the bottles of ink and you fill it. Not at all, because the tops of them are specialized so that they have to be on top of the cartridge that it's filling in order for the ink to flow out.
And we've only printed a couple things, but so far we're very pleased with it. I think it's going to be a great printer. And we'll see how it goes. So that was a thing.
Yes. So that was another thing that we managed to do. We also, guys, and I told you last week, if we got to this episode and weren't able to say we did anything for Etsy, that you had to remind us. But we did manage to do something. I'm not exactly sure what we did, but you are.
Our Etsy store is not stocked yet, so it's not open and available. But we did make a new Etsy account for the business associated with our business email, and it's all ready to be fleshed out now. All we have to do is take pictures of our products and make the listings. The store itself is set up. It's not as much as we wanted to get done, but at least something has been done.
But it is something to be able to cross off for that goal.
Yep.
So we're getting there.
Yep.
So we'll make a new goal for this week.
That's right. Yep. Little by little.
Little by little, yes. Also, kiln washed the shelves to go in the kiln so things don't stick to them.
I had scrubbed the old kiln wash off with power tools and a lot of elbow grease. And Diana, this morning, while I was trimming up bowls, Diana painted on the new kiln wash. And they're all ready to go. They have to go in a bisque fire before they're actually used in a high fire glaze. firing, and that's okay because our next load of pottery in the kiln is going to be a bisque fire anyway. So they're all ready to go.
And that is the first time I've ever put kiln wash on. You always do the kiln wash.
Yeah, you did a good job.
So, I don't know about that, but anyway, I did it.
I purchased a fancy new paintbrush for her to use, so I'm sure it was not too bad.
And I did sponge the edges a little bit because I kind of, went over. But
that's okay.
I fixed it. It's
they're going to be just fine.
Yes. And now we get to do the fun part, which is talk about what we made.
But it's all the fun part.
Oh, I know, but I like the making part the best.
Excuse me, guys.
Yes. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I like the making part the best. Do you want to talk about your stuff first?
Well, sure.
Okay.
All right. So I made a few things. Highlight for me is probably the cups, and I made a few more than these, but here's just a few of the ones I made. I am loving this shape. It's fun to make.
It's beautiful.
And I made a bunch of bowls. And this morning I trimmed up the bowls, and I've got ranging in size from small ramekin kind of things to something I would consider like a cereal bowl. Excuse me, guys, for all the coughing. Sorry about that. The one that's here on this wooden bat, I still have 3 more of those in addition to this. It's not dry enough to come off the bat just yet, but that will be trimmed up and ready to go.
And it's so cute, even before it's trimmed. I'm noticing. I really like it.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. I wanted to make something that didn't require a multi-day commitment, like for putting on handles, like the cups, because you make them one day, then the next day you put the handle on. Supposedly, I almost never get it the very next day, but so these were a little easier to commit to. And after this, I'll probably still make a bunch more bowls. And I am dying to try spinning out some plates on the wheel. So we're going to see how that goes.
And okay, so
now it's your turn. Yep.
Oh, good. Because I had a blast this week. I really did.
A couple new things.
I do have a couple new things. Now this one I did with a tutorial from Ceramics by Jazz, and I had been seeing them pop up everywhere. So many of our friends around the world have been making them, and no wonder, guys, because they're so cute. I absolutely love them. So anyway, they're gonna have little tea lights put into them, but it's a peony, and
that's a kind of a flower.
Yes, and I especially love the peony because we have peonies out front, and they are very special because they are my great grandmothers. They have survived all this time, and they've been transplanted. Every time my grandmother would move, my uncle would transplant them. And so of course,
so they've been dug up and moved half a dozen times,
right?
And in the past 3 generations.
Yes, and several of us in the family, all of my cousins have them too, growing, because they divided over the years as they've multiplied and stuff. And so it's kind of neat to think that someone I didn't know, I have her flowers still growing, so part of her is still there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This meant a lot to me for that reason.
And don't worry, you will get some closer pictures of this so you can see a little better.
Now this one is completely,
careful with that.
Yes, I will be very careful with this, but I'm super happy with this, and I'm hoping that it will turn out because this is completely me. I had a lady reach out to me about napkin holders and said, do you happen to have any napkin holders? I love your all's pottery, and I have broken one that I've had for years and years. And I'm like, I don't, but I'm getting ready to make some. And so I made one that, resembles the wooden ones from when I was growing up. And I've been doing this thing with the doilies lately, so I've got a doily plate, a doily mug, a doily bowl, and a doily napkin holder. I even have doily syrup pours. I've been enjoying those doilies.
We're all about patterns and textures, and this is a really cool new one.
But look at the feet. I think the feet on this are the cutest thing ever.
Yep, fantastic.
They're like little logs, and so I'll be able to glaze everything but the little log, and I just think that would be so cute. So I'm super happy with this, and it was so easy to do. I even put a little sponge in between to hold up, and then my little socks on each side with the
to keep it from bowing and bending and all that jazz.
Yes, to keep it straight. I did work on some commission pieces last week, and so I have a bacon cooker that is drying. I have one for us. and one
Yay.
and one for another person who asked for one. And so they'll be getting bisqued. I think these guys will be ready by Wednesday. So it shouldn't take much longer now for them to dry. And so they'll be able to go in the bisque load. And then of course I've done mugs and I like the bowl. I'm not as fond of hand-built bowls, the slab-built bowls, as I am the wheel thrown, or like if you were over a slump mold or something like that, you know. But I did do, this will turn out to be a nice cereal bowl, and of course I got that pattern on it.
I think that we'll find that certain techniques lend themselves better to certain projects.
Yeah, so anyway, but it was a very busy week altogether. I believe we made 48 pieces of pottery. And, you know, that's not bad since, you know,
we're not really into the swing yet.
No, we're getting more so, I think. And we even had the official snow day.
Right, snow week. We have literally had snow on the ground for the past week, and that is practically unheard of here on the eastern shore of Maryland.
This past Friday was the first day that I drove out from here because our roads are usually always bad. We're in a very rural area.
And I did do a good thing, keeping the vehicles clear of snow and ice. We see people driving around with a bunch of snow on the roof of their car, and I'm from a northern area from Pennsylvania, and that is a huge no-no. You don't just clear your windshield and leave 4 inches of snow on the hood of your car, because that'll fly off and hit the person behind you. So I'm pretty picky about that, and we got the vehicles all cleaned off, and fortunately both of our vehicles are very capable in the snow. I've got a big pickup truck, and Diana has a Subaru, and everything's all-wheel drive, so it works. Like, we don't have to worry about being snowed in like we did at one time. We had a little Nissan Cube,
Oh
that
my
tiny
gosh,
little square.
I loved that car though. And you know, if there's snow on the ground, I'm staying home because we don't get snow often enough
to enjoy it.
I just stay home. That's, you know, it's like, oh, yay, it's snow coming. I'm going to be home.
And it is nice to see it, and also to know that it's not going to last very long. 3 or 4 days from now, I'm sure there won't be any snow left.
The temperatures are supposed to be warming up. In fact, today I think it's getting to 39. So I've been hearing some drips and things coming off the roof.
Right. So we're enjoying it while we can. But it was definitely a highlight. We definitely enjoyed all of the snow and watching our stupid dogs bound and play and frolic. Even the poodle, who I thought was going to absolutely hate the snow, turns out she, around the other dogs, loves to play in the snow and have them chase her, and it's a lot of fun.
Even though our big baby Juno cried at first,
she was very worried
and didn't want to go out at all. After a couple of days, she was out there
rolling around in the snow and having a great
throwing
time.
it up in the air, and so it was great.
The only challenge is Luna tries to sneak in chunks of ice into the house. She thinks that's hilarious. So when we call them to come in, she'll just grab a mouthful of ice or whatever and bring it in, and then put it down on the floor. And then we have to deal with that because she thinks it's hilarious.
She does. She likes to control us.
Yeah.
So the other highlight we had this week is my highlight, because that day that I drove out on Friday, I had a reason for that. One was I was taking Christopher for his piano lesson that started back up. We did our monthly stock up of groceries.
Right, you brought you brought the car home packed with supplies from Sam's Club.
Yes, and then I got to go with Carolyn and James to look at a horse.
Right,
so I'll share a picture of the horse. It's cute.
You know, our daughter has a horse, and she loves this horse named Magic. She went to look at another horse that she might be procuring also, and this one is a relative of Magic. It's Magic's cousin, am I right?
Yes, Magic's cousin.
So it looks like that horse is going to be a hit. It looks like it's going to be a great horse.
Yes. So, and that was a lot of fun. So I got to give lots of little rubs and snuggles, and of course, the way I always tell a horse's temperament, if it allows me to give it a hug, It's a good horse.
Right. So did this one like getting hugs?
Yes.
This one did like getting hugs. So
yes,
good.
and lots of treats. So that's a grandparent's thing. I get to give the treats. I have grand horses, guys.
Right. Yep. So that was your highlight. Anything else?
No, that's pretty good for my highlight. I think the snow and seeing a new horse.
Nice. Okay.
So, but you've definitely had a challenge this
Right.
week.
So I have been sick for the last
You could
several
probably
days.
tell.
And I took a COVID test this morning, and I was very pleased to fail that test. I don't have COVID, so that made me pretty happy. And I also don't have a fever, so I don't feel like it's the flu or anything. But I have an idea this is bronchitis acting up. I do have occasional bouts of bronchitis, and I feel like this is a cumulative bronchitis, kind of an infection, sinus infection, bronchitis thing going on. And if I don't feel better in the next couple of days, I'm going to have to go to the doctor, and they'll give me some kind of medicine to fight it off. I feel okay. It's just my nose won't stop running, and I'm having it's harder to breathe sometimes.
You don't feel okay though. You've even been dizzy.
Okay, I do get dizzy from lack of oxygen sometimes. That is true. But it's been a real challenge getting myself motivated to come out and do stuff. So a lot of the heavier kind of things that I wanted to get done, the bigger things like wedging up 20 or 30 pounds of reclaim, I did not get to that. And after getting the big ancient pottery wheel here in the studio, I still haven't painted that with the rust treatment that I need to, because that's going to involve a little bit of heavy work as well. I have to turn it on its side, and I also have to scrape the decaying rubber mat from the kick wheel part and install a new mat on that. So there's a little bit of work yet that I wanted to get done that I have not yet finished. But that's okay. We have been in the studio, have been making things, but that was definitely my challenge for the past week, was fighting off the feeling of not being at my best.
Right. You seem to have had another challenge.
Okay, I had another challenge too.
I'm looking because there's a new hair dryer here.
So we use a hair dryer in the studio for lots of different things. We use a hair dryer in the studio when we're glazing pieces to help us get that last, the second coat of painted on glaze to get it to dry enough so we can put the third coat on and then put it on the shelf and let it dry naturally. We also use this sometimes, like if I'm making handles for my cups, I will often use the hair dryer to help me dry the handle a little bit so it's closer in moisture content to the body of the mug that I'm attaching it to. The thing that causes a lot of the cracks is the handles and the mug body being of different moisture levels, and then they shrink differently. So we use a hair dryer a fair amount in the studio. I would say it's almost a daily tool for us. Like anytime we're doing something, there's a chance we're going to need to use the hair dryer. Well, this is a brand new hair dryer, and it's identical to our old hair dryer. But the reason we were using the old hair dryer in the first place was because it was super duper cheap. It was only like $10, and it's, the payoff for that is pretty great given how much we use it. Anyway, I was having a problem when I was putting on the handles for these cups, and the problem that I was noticing was that it smelled so bad every time I turned the hair dryer on. It smelled really bad, like it would stink really bad. And I don't mean it stunk like burning wires or electricity. Right. Like there was no smoke coming from the hair dryer, and there was no like sizzles or pops, no sparks or anything. The smell was stink bug.
Only us.
Now, here's the thing, and you may have remembered our ongoing saga with stink bugs here in the studio. Well, evidently a stink bug had gotten into its tiny little, infinitesimally small brain that it wanted to spend the winter inside of the hairdryer. And a stink bug had gotten inside the hairdryer. And I want to tell you all, in case you're wondering, the only thing that smells worse than a stink bug is a roasted stink bug. It was horrible. So every time I turned the hairdryer on, this huge, awful odor would come out of the hairdryer. And it took me all of these mugs before I realized that, hey, wait a minute, the smell is coming from the hairdryer. I didn't know it at first. So I unplugged the hairdryer and looked inside of it carefully. And sure enough, inside the hairdryer was the mummified, desiccated, dried out, half-roasted body of a stink bug. And I got in my own tiny infinitesimal little brain that maybe the best thing to do would be to take the stink bug out. No problem getting the hairdryer apart, you guys. It's only 2 screws. Just literally unscrew this, unscrew that, and then pull it apart. The problem is that when you pull it apart, everything in there is spring-loaded to act like a jack-in-the-box, and it just goes sproing, and everything goes all over the studio. Tiny little springs and bits of plastic and confetti and all the other stuff that comes out of the hairdryer when you open it up. I couldn't get it back together. Or rather, I should say, the amount of effort that it would require to put it back together in working order was far greater than the $10 that it would cost to buy a new one. So now that I know that these things are specifically engineered to not be repaired, I won't try that again if another stink bug gets into his head to winter inside of a hairdryer. But the old hairdryer went away, and the new hairdryer, $10 at Walmart, is definitely going to be a workhorse. Although I think we should probably store that inside a bag or box or something.
I would, a bag that's tied.
Yeah,
because otherwise we're just as likely to have another stink bug.
And I think we're fairly lucky that the stink bug was where it was. Otherwise, we'd have had a stink bug flamethrower, right? I mean, it could have been worse. Where he was a bad spot. Could have been worse.
Yeah, that's true.
So anyway, that was another challenge from last week. And in case you're wondering how we use a hairdryer in the studio, now you know. I also have an actual heat gun. If I need serious heat, hotter than what we can get from a hairdryer, I do have a heat gun. And I even have a blowtorch that I can use in a pinch. And I've used it on the wheel to dry things out. I learned that trick from Rob at Amused Studio. Yep. I was totally amazed that day in the studio when he used a small handheld propane blowtorch to dry out some clay. And I thought to myself, hey, wait a minute. I can do that. So I've got a heat gun, a blowtorch, but my most used tool for drying things out is this little hairdryer here.
Yep. Alrighty. Well, let's talk about this week.
Okay, so lots of stuff happened in this week. In fact, this week starting today, we've got a couple things going on.
We have a birthday party that we're going to.
Happy birthday, Zach.
Yes. A big 18.
Yep, 18 years old. Holy cow.
So that's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that. What else do we have today?
Well, I'm going to try to paint the rust treatment on the wheel if I can today. I want to get that done today if I can.
So we'll try to do that after we come back from the party. Okay, then. So, so still a couple of things going on today.
Tomorrow I've got a class with a couple of former students at Nandua High School. One of my students from way back when, Kathleen is coming for a combination wheel throwing and hand building class, and she's bringing a friend. And I think it's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, we also have another wheel throwing class next Saturday. Because as we said before, our goal is to only do the classes on Saturdays, with some special exceptions from time to time.
Tomorrow is a special exception.
But we have a couple of folks coming to do a wheel throwing.
And we just got an email from another lady who wants to come on the 25th, or is that the one you're talking about? No, that's the other one.
No.
Another lady wants to come on the 25th for a 3-person wheel throwing session. So it looks like our wheel throwing classes are starting to pick up. Might be time to think about getting another good wheel. Maybe.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. They're a little pricey. We can't really justify doing it unless we need it, and right now we don't really need it.
And I really don't use the wheel. I hand build, so I mean, I guess I should start using a wheel more often.
I'll make you a deal. If you start using the wheel more, I'll start doing hand building more, and we'll be able to rotate around and be a little more
maybe we should do that diverse. Like one day each
switch
week.
up.
Switch up.
You can wear my hat. You can wear my hat and sit at the wheel.
The hat, guys. I can wear the hat.
You can wear my hat and sit at the wheel, right? The only thing is, if you're going to do that, you're going to have to learn at least 4 or 5 more curse words, because you don't swear nearly. Your swearing vocabulary is not extensive. I'll put it like that.
Yeah, that might be a fun little challenge for us to do. You know, hey, you got to keep it fun, guys.
I'll try to make a little owl figurine, and it'll end up looking like Yoda or something, probably, no doubt.
Oh, well, but that's okay.
That's okay.
It would be cute.
That would be cute.
We also need to work again on more commission pieces. We started last week. We did the plans for the mugs for the lady from the market who wanted them for all of her kids.
Right. So we have a bunch of customized mugs for that,
Yes.
and we've decided that those are going to be thrown on the wheel,
Right.
and then letters are going to be applied to them. And this is going to be a learning curve for us. We don't normally add things onto
Yeah.
wheel thrown mugs, but we're going to give it a shot.
I wonder if maybe slip trailing would be the way to go for that.
It might be. I mean,
I don't know.
We'll see.
Or I could
Sgraffito might be a thing.
Or I could simply have it ready to apply when you take it off, but then that affects your trimming, doesn't it?
It does, unless I do a decent job where we put the letters tall. Generally, when I trim a cup, when it comes off the wheel, and you can see it in this piece, in this cup, that's why I picked it up. The top 2/3, I usually don't have to trim at all.
Okay.
Usually it's the bottom 2/3, and that's because with this particular clay, when I'm putting this on the wheel, there's usually like a little skirt that comes down to help buttress the sides up, and then I'll turn it upside down on the wheel to trim it, and I trim off only about that much to get it round and to get a nice foot at the bottom of the mug.
Okay.
So depending on how large the letters are,
Right.
you really could apply it very soon after it came off the wheel. And if we had to dry this a little bit to make it a little stiffer, hey, we've got a tool for that.
Right,
we can dry it just enough to put a letter on.
That might be a workable
Yeah,
solution. We'll try it.
We'll look at it and see.
We'll try
Of course, another option is to not apply a raised letter to it at all, but just paint one on with underglaze. But we don't really want to do that.
She
That's
and I
not the
had,
ideal.
we had been conversing back and forth, and she really liked the look of the raised letters.
So we're going to try it. We're gonna.
But she likes the look of the wheel thrown mug.
Because of the curvy nature of it. Even the ones that you belly out don't look exactly the same. You kind of have an example there.
Yeah. See if we hold them up together. So like this one, I have a flower attached on.
But you can still see there's a difference in...
it's a similar shape.
Similar but different.
But mine comes out like that.
No matter what, we have a new thing to learn. We either need to learn how to do the hand-built cups that has the same profile, or we need to learn to apply letters and shapes and stuff to the outside of a wheel-thrown cup.
If you guys have a suggestion,
let us know.
You've done that before.
Yeah, let us know.
Help us out.
Because we're still figuring this out, and we're going to have to screw it up 7 or 8 times before we get it perfect for sure.
Right.
But once we do figure it out, it'll be fantastic.
And of course, we're going to be making more pottery this coming week. Lots and lots and lots, I hope. And our goal towards the whole Etsy thing is to get the photos taken so that we can do the listings.
Right. So
because I think the listing whole thing is a big ordeal to begin with, but you got to have your photos ready.
Right. And for us, it's not a matter of just taking the pottery and taking a picture of it. We have to unpack it and find a location that's going to give the most accurate representation of colors.
Yeah, very natural light, because I don't want the colors to be distorted or anything. So.
And that'll be fun. We'll have 3 or 4 pictures and a short video for each item that we list. And our goal is to have 50 items listed before we open the store. So we'll make sure that we do that. Yes. I don't think it's going to be a difficult process. I just think it's going to be a long process. I think it's going to take us a day or two to get all that done.
Yes.
Aside from making new pottery and doing our Etsy listing, it really is my goal to have that ancient kick wheel functional and usable here in the studio within the next couple of days, maybe by tomorrow. I'd say there's about a 40% chance that I could have it done enough by tomorrow to actually use it.
Yes, but definitely by Saturday's
Definitely
class.
by Saturday.
So that way folks can get the opportunity to try out a kick
because
wheel.
It is a different experience than stepping on a pedal. For me, and I don't have a lot of experience. I have made exactly and only one thing on the wheel, but it is a very different, more quiet and thoughtful process than the electric wheel is. I think my personal opinion is that the manual kick wheel is going to be very handy for doing trimming, using it just like a giant banding wheel. And I think it's going to be very fun to do that with. I've got a couple of things that I need to do with that. In addition to the rust remover, I need to clean up the aluminum around the pan, and then wipe down the outside of the aluminum pan with white vinegar and get it nice and shiny and stop the corrosion or oxidation rather that's happening with the aluminum. But it's going to be a perfectly usable addition to the studio. My only regret is how large it is. It's it takes up twice the floor space as my electric wheel, which is considerable in size by itself. So it's not something we can just casually pop into the studio and start using it. We really got to think about the geometry of the studio and the ergonomics of it and the getting around. One thing that we can do, though, even though the wheel weighs, last week I said it was like 3,000 tons. It's not that heavy. It is light enough that Diana and I could pick it up ourselves and move it. So I'm going to put the weight at about 200 pounds, maybe about 200 pounds, because it's got a fairly thick steel kick plate. It's not stone, it's steel kick plate that we kick. But that 200 pounds is not something we can just drag around the floor in the studio. But we have these wheels on these casters on little platforms that we put under heavy things in the studio so we can push them around on our concrete floor. We use them for moving around our slab roller. And if I can, I'll take a picture of these. We use them on the bottoms of our slab roller and the bottoms of my pretty heavy electric wheel and my even heavier kick wheel. We have these under them so we can wheel them around. And then when we have the equipment where we want it, we just pick up that corner, pull the wheels out, and then do that around the other sections. And then it's perfectly stable. I got them from Harbor Freight, and they were super cheap, and they are extremely, extremely useful.
Yeah, and it's easier on our backs to be able to do the rolling of the pieces
when we started
manhandle
making the studio. That was one of our major things that we talked about. We needed everything to be portable. So with the exception of one or two shelves, even these shelves behind us are on wheels and can be wheeled around. Our big wedging table is on wheels and we can move it around. That was a very important thing for us because we wanted to be able to move stuff around and make it as mobile as possible.
Because we weren't sure exactly what the best setup for us would be. So, but anyway, we're learning still.
We are, little by little. And eventually, by the time we get it all figured out, there'll be whole new other things that we got to learn and figure out.
We'll never be done.
That's
the wonderful thing.
It is. So. It is actually a wonderful thing. Yes. Yep.
Alrighty.
So what else do we need to talk about?
I think that is going to be it because we have a birthday party to get to.
Yep. And my tea is almost done and it's cold. I'm drinking tea today, you guys, because I'm not feeling well. So this is Bigelow's lemon ginger tea, and I love it. It's really, really good. Yeah. You're drinking hot chocolate, right?
I am again. So yes, it's coffee time, but so far it's not been coffee.
We haven't had
the past
coffee in a couple weeks, right? All right, guys. I think we're all finished. Let's wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching. Please do hit that like and subscribe button. We appreciate each and every one of you. For now, though, toodaloo, TTFN, ta-ta for now. Take care. See you later. Have a fantastic day no matter where you're at. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.